Hello, everyone, and welcome to our When the World Shifts Pivot event. This is our second ComDes exit review held on Zoom, and it's being recorded, and I'll make sure the link is available to everyone attending later this week, maybe. So joining us this evening, hopefully, I haven't done a head count, are 25 communication design graduates, our communication design faculty, and our 6 judges who I'll introduce as they present. I would like to first start by saying congratulations to our fall 2020 class. Everyone's last semester in ComDes is challenging enough without having to deal with the pandemic, but this group has had to learn to navigate online design courses, learn new technologies to work together, and continue to bolster supportive relationships with their ComDes community. And even though the way that their work has changed, their passion for design has not. By now, everyone's had a chance to take a look through comdesreview.com, and in spite of less than desirable circumstances, our graduates have given it their all. There is smart, conceptual, user-tested, beautifully designed work in your portfolios, and this incredibly resilient group of seniors have risen to the occasion. And on behalf of the communication design faculty, we are very proud of you and everything that we've created together. So, it's been a tough one, guys. I'm glad that we made it to the finish line. In addition to tonight's review, we've organized a mentoring group on Slack. So for an entire month, our graduates will receive portfolio and project feedback, career advice, and networking opportunities from 35 professionals around the country and New Zealand. Many of them are alumni. And I mention this because in addition to our long list of professional contacts outside of the university, our alumni are our greatest resources. All of our judges tonight are alumni. It won't be long before we're contacting you guys for networking and lectures and critiques and mentoring. So please, if you haven't already done so, go ahead and join the ComDes BFA alumni group on LinkedIn. And that way we can all stay in touch and celebrate your future successes in the field of design. We're going to let our judges speak next. And judges, when I call your name, if you could please raise your hand, wave your hand until I can find you. Then I'm going to pin your video to the screen so everyone will be able to see you. At any time, please feel free to share your screen. And if there's anything you want to point out about the work, just take your time walking through the work. I have 2 brief announcements before we jump into the judges. Actually, I have one more thing. Before the judges announce their awards, we've asked them to address what they observed in the student portfolios in context with the award that they're presenting, and then to talk about why they made the selection that they made. So my 2 announcements: award winners, please Slack me, DM me tomorrow for instructions on how to claim your awards. And at the close of the event, if all of us could please stay in the Zoom so we can take screen captures, because this is the closest that we get to a group portrait for you guys. So we're going to want to take some pictures. All right, so our first award is the Best Branding Award, and it will be presented by Britta Hernalsteen. And Britta, there you are. So let me pin Britta. Britta is a 2008 alum and is currently the creative director for One North in Chicago. She's also worked at Pivot Design and VSA Partners in Chicago. And she was asked to select the student portfolio that best represents excellence in branded artifacts. The award is a Wacom tablet plus $755 in cash for a value of $1,005. So Britta, it's all yours.
Awesome. Well, thank you for the introduction, and thank you everyone for having me. I'm really excited to see you all, and congratulations. This is a huge moment for you, and I'm sorry that it's not more celebratory. I remember my review and how impactful those moments and that portfolio building was. So, congratulations. You guys have hit a huge milestone. I do have a presentation for you guys, so give me a second while I share that. Let's see. Well, I'm just going to share my desktop. One second. Uh-oh. It's not letting me.
Uh-oh. Molly.
Just give me 1 second. I can, there we go. You know. Whoops. I guess it's not working.
Okay.
Oh, hold on. I got it. I've been doing this for months. Here we go.
Yay.
All right. Thank you for your patience. Let's see. All right. So, and are you guys seeing the good version or are you guys seeing all the slides?
We see all the slides.
Okay, let's swap. How about that?
Yes. Perfect.
Great. Thank you. All right. First one up. So as stated, Britta Hernalsteen, creative director. You know, a lot of my background is in communication building. I did a lot of annual reports at the beginning of my career at VSA Partners, and then I went to a smaller branding shop. So, you know, I learned a lot from the program and brought a lot of it, you know, to bear in all of those places. But, you know, I just want to state for you guys, you know, my first takeaway is, wow, your guys' portfolios are strong. You know, there weren't, you know, hardly any duds in there. You know, like I see a lot of portfolios from a lot of different schools. And I will say every year the Texas State ComDes program portfolios just get better and better. So you guys have, you know, a lot of, you know, strong, you know, background to bear for where you're headed next. And you guys have a very strong program behind you and plenty of alumni who really, you know, care about the program and care what happens next. So, you know, kudos to you guys. The hard work is paying off and it shows. You guys have a lot of great work in your portfolios. As far as the branding, you know, realm goes, you know, I just want to call out a few standouts for me. You know, these were some names on my short list, and I felt remiss to leave them off because I really was him and hawing over, you know, who would get this award. And, you know, so I just want to call out a few people here who really, you know, had some really compelling work in their portfolios. These were some of the key pieces that really stood out for me in terms of, you know, just clarity of concept and, you know, really strong, powerful visuals and, you know, simplicity. Strong logo design obviously is a huge component of branding. You know, the pull through into the design system and, you know, extending things beyond just the logo and the name, but really bringing it to bear in all the pieces. So, you know, kudos to you guys for some really strong pieces. And, you know, I love that Munich project. I looked at it a few times. I shared it around with some people, and that one was really, really fun to observe. So definitely wanted to call out some of the other strong work that was in there. But ultimately, I landed on one portfolio in particular, Rudy Flores. You know, I really, you know, the clarity of the thinking, you know, the strong design work in every single piece. You know, everything was really carefully kind of constructed and thought through in every piece in the portfolio. I'd love to highlight kind of two areas that really pulled me toward Rudy's portfolio above all, which again was a very difficult choice, a lot of great identity work and other thinking throughout, but storytelling in Rudy's work really stood out to me. You know, kind of not just the kind of setups and the, you know, the description of the problem, the execution, you know, connecting that story into the work itself and really making a clear rationale into the design. You know, that part was really strong, but also just all the little moments throughout where story is being told through the brand expression, through the, you know, through the tone of voice, through the, you know, choices and just naming of colors, like all of these opportunities to tell a story and build a persona. You know, there's really, you know, there's the identity side of branding, you know, which is really about, you know, super clean design, great logos and strong systems. And then the branding side, you know, the bigger picture side is building that persona, that feeling, walking away with, you know, kind of an idea or, you know, what the personality of that business is. And that often comes through in the storytelling, the narrative building, the word choice. So I'd say if branding is a passion for you, you know, really getting comfortable with language, word choice, and really being, you know, careful with all of that, how you tell that story of that brand and the meaning behind it, as well as, the expression of those words and ideas and the actual work itself, and pulling that all through into one, cohesive package. I think you don't have to be a writer in order to do this. You can partner with great writers in your career. So just watch out for those people, and partner with them closely. So yeah, you don't have to be a writer, and if you're looking for, a brand firm to work for, keep an eye out for ones that have writing and, strong writers on staff, because they're going to kind of make or break the work you're going to make. Because, identity can be style, but branding really cannot. Like, branding needs all those different angles to it. So really love to see the language pull through in all of this. And the other facet of Rudy's work that really stood out for me is the digital side of things, really considering how the brand is going to be experienced in the digital world through motion and icons, and, thinking about scalability of the brand and the expression and how it's going to be experienced there. I mean, it's needless to say that, our world is very much so experienced through a screen these days, and that's not going to change. And really thinking about that from the beginning, not just the details of execution, but how do you surprise and delight when the tactile world is removed? How do you impart a personality and a feeling through a screen? It's very challenging. So it comes through in moments of motion and just consideration of all those little, every pixel really, and we used to get away with, really great logos, and then that could be a brand, but that's so not the case anymore. And, logos are, barely 40 pixels of any experience anymore. It's pretty much the last thing you think about. So that entire brand package, how it comes through in motion and digital, super important in the future of design and branding in particular. So congrats, Rudy. Great work. And, thank you guys for having me. Good luck. Feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn directly if you guys want to chat, do a portfolio review, anything like that. I'm happy to do it.
Thank you, Britta. Rudy, wave at me. Where are you? There you are. All right, I'm going to pin you. Would you like to say something?
Definitely. I would just like to say thank you for all of the kind words and taking such a great view at my portfolio and all that I put work into towards the semester. But thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
All right. Yay, Rudy. Okay, so John Yum has joined us, and John is our next judge. John, can you give me a wave so I can find you?
I am here.
Hi, John. It's good to see you.
Good to see you guys. Oh, man.
I know, been a while.
Wave of nostalgia looking at some of these faces.
I love it. So John Yum is a 2010 ComDes alum and currently works as an experienced design lead at Airbnb in San Francisco. John has also worked as a designer at Hybrid Design, and he's presenting the Best Digital Experience Award. He was asked to choose a portfolio that best represents, best represents excellence in UX UI with a clear understanding of the audience. The award is a 1-year Adobe Creative Cloud license plus $369 cash, which is a $1,005 value. And so, John, I'm gonna let you take it over.
Right. First of all, apologies for being late. So I will say congrats to everybody. I know how hard it is to kind of put yourself together, create a portfolio, get ready for real life and real industries, and the pressure and the optimism that comes with all of it. I know it's not easy, and especially at a time like this. I applaud all of you guys to putting together really great work. I will say in the 12 years since I graduated from this program, I would be pretty embarrassed to bring my portfolio that I brought 12 years ago. So just compared to how much the talent has gotten better, how much the curriculum has gotten to a space like when I was there, UX and UI was not really a thing. We're cutting up Photoshop files. So the fact that you guys are put into a position where a lot of the work that I saw reflects a lot of the work I do right now at Airbnb. So the fact that this is, I haven't seen ComDes work in 12 years. However, the leaps and bounds that I'm seeing is amazing. So that's super, super great. I'm just gonna kind of go through people's websites and kind of get a sense of what I want to talk about and kind of explain a little bit of kind of the processes. Just about myself, I am, like Holly said, a design lead at Airbnb. I've been here for about 5 years. About 5 years ago, I transitioned from a graphic designer into a product designer. And I would say these days, those two roles are pretty interlinked. Only thing that really changed in my life is the medium that I play with and the fact that I myself cannot finish the work because it's all the engineers that end up taking over at a certain point. You never let go of the project, but it's some of it you have to kind of figure out how to work with other people, which has been a difficult thing to kind of get through. But so I've been a product designer at Airbnb for about 5 years. So after looking through all the work, there are 4 names that I really want to talk about. Am I allowed to tell the winner and then kind of go through?
You can do it however you want to do it, John.
Okay. I'm just gonna kill the suspense right now.
Okay.
There's 4 names that I portfolios that I really loved. 4 of them being Kiera's, Daphne's, Jack Parker's, and Rudy's. The reason why I pointed those out because I love the thinking behind a lot of the work that you guys are doing, especially in product design. The things that I've learned is the UI and the UX just is it's forever changing. Whatever Apple put out a year ago is what everyone else is going to do a year and a half from then, because there's a lot of catch-up culture in tech, I think. And there's a lot of this look good. I saw it on Pinterest, so I'm just going to copy it. And then it develops into a language. So what I was looking for especially was how the portfolios were going through from simplifying a problem and then even giving me a simpler solution. A super clear and super straightforward UI, no clutter. It is all about the experience, about the user. And especially from a portfolio point of view, a super linear and engaging storytelling. That last part is quite important. Before I start getting into the work, the reason why I have linear and storytelling as one of the type things that I was looking for is when a lot of recruiters and hiring managers are looking, they're just cycling through work after work after work, and being able to catch your genius quickly and early and get them to figure out that, oh, you can do this, now show me more. And that engagement is incredibly important. The extra things that I was really thinking about was systems thinking and scalability. You guys don't have to really think about that right now, but the truth is, as soon as you guys start getting into these jobs, scale and system has been the great thing and has been ruining my life for the last 5 years, because there is a standard, there is limitations. Tech has amazing things that it does, but it also puts us in a sandbox, and how do you design out of that sandbox without breaking it is going to be incredibly important going forward. And to be honest, business strategy and metrics. So obviously you guys have projects that you guys are thinking a little bit about business and a little bit about impact, but the importance of having that in the back of your head. You guys are no longer just designers. You guys will be product managers, you guys will be content writers, you guys will be researchers, and having all of that knowledge. And I was looking for portfolios that was showing little bits and pieces of that mentality and how that was coming through in the work. So the 4 people, Kiera, Daphne, Jack, and Rudy. Once again, I apologize for killing the suspension, but I think this award is really deserving of Rudy's portfolio. I know that's back-to-back wins, Rudy. So congratulations. I will get to your work at the end, but let me start with the first 3. So I'm just gonna kind of run through my thoughts. I wrote all of these thoughts down, and I just wanna kind of give you guys all strengths and things to improve on. So Kiera, I really love the research mindset that you have. There's a lot of great talk of like problem solving and systematically coming at a solution. And your final output was very solid. There's a lot of thinking that I thought I was reading a textbook, which is, I will say, a good and a bad, and I will explain why. But I can see your brain working as you're going and kind of showcasing that the rhyme and the reason why you were doing the things that you were doing was great. That being said, the thing that I really would love for you to kind of start thinking about is there's a lot of storytelling here that I feel like I have to do the work instead of you paring down the exact things that I need to know for me to understand the concept. Of course, I read through all of it and I tried to be very methodical about these things. However, not everybody will be judges. They are just weeding through hundreds of portfolios throughout the day, trying to pick out the right one to put in front of the designer who is hiring. And just getting through that first pass is not easy. So you have to do the work to kind of get people to understand and get people to that point of comprehension of your ideas super quickly. That being said, your UI and the playfulness was fantastic. Your thinking was fantastic. I saw a lot of componentry and a lot of repetition in how you're using your UI, which is super critical because it will confuse people if you start changing things around on everybody. The work was incredibly solid. You especially had a lot of cleanness to your UI that I really loved. So congratulations, Kiera, for kind of putting all this work. Great stuff. Next, Daphne. So Daphne, it was a little bit hard to kind of go through your portfolio and really get a good sense that I think your incredible strength has been this engaging business ideas and strategy. You seem to have a very unique way and a way of forming a problem and giving me really interesting solutions. So when I'm looking through this, I understood right away what you were trying to solve for. And half the time, a UI is UI, but if the idea behind it is not great, then you could have the most wonderful UI and have a product that doesn't work. And that to me is, that in essence is bad design, because your visuals can look good, but everything else falls apart. I love what you did with you had a lot of impact, not just about the idea, but you thought about sustainability. You really thought about meaningful connections. And especially with this work that I'm looking at right now, your second work, I feel like you're tapping into current trends that are super popular and current ways how people are using products. And what I loved about that is these products will always evolve. Your idea that worked great would work for 3 years, and it always has to change. It always has to evolve. At Airbnb, we sell homes, but then we started going to other parts of the business to continue to growing with, like I personally was on the transportation team before COVID, and we were always trying to figure out new businesses to kind of hold on to. And the fact that you're really thinking about what do people want versus what problem I'm solving, that was something that really I resonated with. Things for you to improve on, once again, the simplification of the story, and I need to understand the problem really quickly. Similar with Kiera, there was a lot of wordiness and there's a lot of over explanation, and by the time I got to the work, it was great, but the lead up of having to read through all of it was a little difficult, and there was a lot of comprehension. And once again, save people time, create that narrative for them, and then figure out how to get them to the point super quickly. So congratulations, Daphne. Next is Jack. Oh, where'd you go? You had like an amazing eye for detail. Your storytelling was super clear and very, very straightforward. You had a really great variety of projects that you were showcasing, and you were tackling problems that felt almost difficult. Like the voting one was crazy, and we're all probably coming out of November 3rd with a lot of thinking about how can we make this process better. And the ideas that you were pouring into that was incredibly thoughtful. And the thing that I kind of wanted to point out, what you did super well is the storytelling element. You got me into a sense of what's happening. You limited content to the pieces I needed, and you were able to showcase the important parts, the visuals, the things that designers sometimes unfortunately care too much about. But I'm a designer and I care a lot about this. So you kind of set that tone for early and then figured out how to tell that story. And it got me engaged quicker and faster. So your work, it was really polished. The thinking was super clear. And the thing that you were doing super well is you had a lot of components and systems thinking in mind. I saw that you were utilizing like human interface design from Apple and things like that. Those kind of things are incredible. There is no reason for anyone to be making new UI if all the existing stuff works and you build on top of it. And I saw you be efficient with your time and with how you work. Some of these, you had some prototypes. Another thing I'll mention, motion is super important. I saw a lot of static, and to get people's attention, movement is really important, especially for an app where you never look at a picture on an app for, I don't know, for more than a second, because you're always scrolling, moving, tapping, transitioning, closing, opening, and showcasing some of those elements of motion between pages actually goes a really long way. And you definitely did a lot of that. Your UI and your thinking was great. However, I will say some of your designs, I feel like you try, especially something like this, you try to fit a lot. Your UI, a lot of your UI got really dense. And I saw you kind of scrunching things, using smaller typography, moving and shifting to make sure that you got all your pieces in there. The reality is you have to really think about how the user is going to use it. So if I can have a bigger picture up top, am I going to engage that person to keep on scrolling? Versus if I have 4 pictures up top, are they going to get confused on where and how to get to the next step? So what I would love for you to think about is really think about, you're really good at the systems thinking. Now start thinking about the human side of all of it. what is a way to engage someone to go left and right versus up and down? What makes it feel like I can pinch and zoom versus hold and press? Those little details are actually what makes a lot of these apps. If you look at Instagram, it's scroll, click, scroll, click, scroll, click. They made it dead simple, and they hasn't changed the UI in 10 years. It's because people figured out that that is an easy way for people to understand. When it starts getting dense, that's when it starts breaking down. So right now you have up and down and left and right. This was a super popular mode of looking at a lot of inventory. But about 2 or 3 years ago, everybody in the industry stopped going from left and right and up and down, unless there's a specific reason like filters or things like that, because people realize that there's a lot of cross-sectional movement, and understanding and making sure that making it easy for the user is super important. Finally, Rudy, congratulations. Your portfolio was vibrant. It was able to catch my eye. And as I was going through everyone's work, I would open up the tab and move it somewhere as I was narrowing it down. And by the time I got to yours, there was a lot of, my memory went back and started putting you as the standard against everybody else. And the reason why is I think you have impeccable storytelling. Once again, the storytelling element is incredibly important. You were able to draw me in, you were able to make me care, and you just gave me enough pieces to understand without overloading. The thing that I really loved is you had emotion. You took the time to take your idea, take it through that extra polish to do the work that I didn't need to do. So I can see a messaging screen, but if I look at the video, I don't have to pretend how it would function. You showed that to me. And that little extra bits of detail is stuff that really, for me, makes or breaks portfolios. And when I look at portfolios, I don't look at the work per se too much, or the idea of it, especially student ones. What I look for is how much does this person really care? Is the detail so important to them that the work itself and the detail and the idea and all those things come together, but you ended up being like, I'm gonna cut, I'm gonna be minimal, I'm gonna take my time to figure out where in the hierarchy are things, what's important to me, and what do you think my audience will be, what do you think the audience will find important? So the solutions to the designs that were great, for every project, you switched the UI. So for the conversation or combo, it was a messaging platform, and it was clear that it was a messaging platform. And you made it look like a messaging platform. But when you went to Spark and it was clearly a children's app, you turned the typefaces, the spacing, the color, and all those things, and you actually catered to your user instead of forcing your user to cater to your UI, if that makes sense. And with all your project, you definitely have a really good detail eye, your vegetable, like all the things that you were using pieces sparingly, but effectively. And you weren't trying to force anything that it was not. And that next extra level of finish, and it really impacts that extra level of detail that I know that you took 6 hours to get that animation right. And it took me 6 seconds to realize. Designers, especially people who are hiring, see that. That kind of extra bit of sweat and tears that you fight through and your eyes are blurry at 4 a.m, that's the kind of stuff that I think non-designer people don't understand. And people in the design industry go like, okay, this person cares. And that's half the battle. There's gonna be times where I personally wanted to quit project just because I was so tired, including at Texas State 12 years ago, where I was breaking down in the printer room, if that even exists anymore, because I didn't know what the hell I was doing. But the level of grind that I see and level of care that you seem to possess and that you are showing me in bits and pieces throughout your portfolio, I felt it when I got to your portfolio. So it's amazing work. I'm so glad that I was able to kind of see this. A lot of praise. However, for things to improve upon, there always is. There always will be. So make sure, I think the next level of value, if you are, I mean, you're also a great visual designer, so figure out your balance. But I would love for you to start thinking about, if you're interested in product, love to start for you to start thinking about things like that are not particularly to design, but there's things like limits of technology, what's the product market fit, how would I execute this operationally? Like this messaging app, you have an idea in there that takes like a shit ton of machine learning to make it possible. So I smiled and went, okay, your engineer is going to absolutely murder you if you bring this as something that you want to try. However, that's the kind of push that I would want you to know. But understanding what's around it to make it possible, make it into a reality, and start questioning those things I think that's going to get you to that next level. Creating that empathy for all the people that you'll have to work with next to you is something that that I would love for you to start putting in your head as you're tackling next projects. So that's it. I mean, like I said before, all the work is amazing. Like I said before, again, the 12-year gap that I've seen from when I was there in 18, or I don't even know how old I am right now, and what I see now is tremendous. So kudos to all of you guys.
Thank you, John. So Rudy, you're on again, man.
Thank you. I just want to say thank you so much. I'm beyond grateful and humbled to win both of these awards. Your recognition means so much to me, and I will remember this for the rest of my career. So I really appreciate it.
Yay. Beautiful. Thank you, Rudy. Emily Hom-Nici is our next judge. So Emily is joining us from San Francisco. Well, she's not. I lied. She's actually joining us from Texas. She is an art director and product design lead at Huge. Emily is a 2013 Convest graduate who also began her design career at VSA Partners in Chicago with Britta. And you will be presenting the Best Design Research Award. She's been asked to choose the student portfolio that shows how in-depth design research informed the outcome of well-designed artifacts. The award is a Wacom tablet plus $755 in cash, totaling $1,005 in value. And I will let you take it.
Thanks, Holly. Yeah, it's kind of hard to go after both Britta and John. Jeez. So a little bit about me. I actually graduated in 2014, I believe. So it's been quite a wild ride since then. Went up to Chicago and got internship there, and then ended up working at VSA Partners for 4 years with Britta there as well. So that was kind of fun to see her as a judge as well. Worked there working a lot on, at the beginning, doing a lot of campaign work and worked for like IBM, business to business kind of work, and then transitioned into more interactive and digital work. And that's where I've been trying to stay in my lane and trying to really work within the UI UX realm. And since then I've moved out to the Bay Area. Mostly it's temporary, it's just being in Texas, but yeah, so living in San Francisco, Oakland area for 2 years now, working at Huge, and it's been a really fun transition, different agency than VSA, very different. So I've been mostly in agency land, which is really exciting to get a lot of variety in types of work. So I'll take when I'm looking at all of these portfolios, I was taking a look at it from a variety point of view. And so John actually messaged me with his choices, and his short list of portfolios was exactly the same short list as mine for the top portfolios that I was seeing as well from all of your work. Is like I said, like everyone already said, it's been really great to see all of this work come to life, and I'm very impressed with all of your portfolios. I showed my husband, who's also a product designer, some of your work. He also graduated from Texas State, and he was like, "Oh yeah, these are so much better." He's like, he's been interviewing a bunch of people as well, and said he's like, these are much better than some of the designers that he's been interviewing from the Bay Area. So kudos to all of you for getting all of your portfolios done. I know it's a lot of work, and forever a work of portfolio. But you've got a really great start, and I congratulate you all for getting to the end, especially in this crazy year right now. Yeah, so my short list was Kiera, Rudy, Jack, and Daphne. But I'll also throw in there, I also had Tatum and Yesenia in there as some also portfolios that I was very interested in. And I'll hold out the suspense a little bit for who I picked for my topic, which was design research, which is actually kind of an interesting topic of design research can be pretty nebulous because you can take it very into UX world of just being about the user and only not even really considering too much about the artifact, only thinking about all those details of the research and who they are and understanding those people and then what would come out of that. Or you could take it from a full expanse from the research to the design artifact and everything in between, like what can you do? You can do it for UI, UX, but you can also even do it in branding expressions, which I was actually quite impressed by looking at, like Tatum, your portfolio, looking at the brand processes that you had in there. I was expecting to only think of UI, UX for design research, but branding does have a lot of research within it as well. It's looking at brand audit, other competitive audits, but really understanding the core of what the brand is trying to express and what they're trying to say in your final expression of the brand. So I really was impressed by Tatum, your portfolio and research in that way. And many of you also had a little section in there that was for process. And I loved going into those sections and seeing all of your nitty gritty of getting into how you really came to your design after the fact. But let me back up a little bit. Some of the things that I was looking for when I was looking at the portfolios were things like really understanding and the thinking behind your work, not just a pretty picture, not just a pretty execution, but being able to grasp the thinking and the process, like I said, going into each project. I appreciate variety from young designers. So knowing that you're coming out of school and still trying to figure out what you want to do, I still appreciate a little bit of variety in portfolios at this stage. So when I see things that are some UI, some branding, some expressions of research, I really appreciate that in young designers' portfolios. So I don't think that you need to necessarily focus in on one specific thing if you don't feel like you're ready to make that decision right now. I know I was always struggling with that, trying to figure out like, do I want to do branding? Do I want to do UI or UX? And I found success in not choosing until later on. And I think that that might be a good, once you get into the field, you'll kind of be able to figure out what's really right for you. So when I saw variety in the portfolios overall, like seeing, you know, branding and UI, UX, and all within one, I also enjoyed seeing variety within the projects and case studies. So seeing that one project what had many legs to it, had a branding aspect to it, had the research aspect to it, had the branding and the user research in it. So I like variety with it, T-sheet, across the portfolio and deep into each project as well. It doesn't have to be every project going that deep, but some of them being like case studies of very specific things is really nice to see. John kind of pointed on this earlier too, is the portfolios that I picked out had great first impressions. And this is really a reality of the industry, is we're strapped for time when we're working, and when the team is given a portfolio to review, we're like, hey, this person might, I think this person might be really good. Can you take a look? You have a meeting with them in 30 minutes. We need to be able to quickly run through your portfolio, grasp what you, what kind of work you're into, what kind of work you're thinking about doing, and what strengths we could maybe put you in a different team. And then when you get to the interview, that's when we'll dig into more of the details. So I find first impression is very, very important. And to some of the portfolios I saw, even in the thumbnails, they were very abstract. So when you get to a portfolio, you land there and you saw like maybe an abstract image in the thumbnails. And I really had to, being a judge, I would obviously go in there and look very deeply in all of your projects, but it's a little hard to get a grasp of what you do right away when you don't have something, your hero image on your thumbnails representing each of your projects. And I think that can maybe hurt your possibilities, job possibilities, if because sometimes the people who are hiring are really looking for someone's doing something specific. So again, if you have that variety, and I see that you have, if you have that variety, and I see this one's a branding project, this one's a UI UX project, this one's research project from your thumbnails, I'll go in and search for the thing that I want. So I'm looking for a UX UI designer. I'll click on the one that's UI UX. I'll appreciate all the variety and maybe look at that after the fact, but your first impression should really be able to capture what the person is looking for. Additionally, I saw some of the things that I felt were better than others are when people paid attention to those artifacts, and all of the, even when you're just doing like a Venn diagram or a sticky note wall, when those are beautifully designed, it makes me understand that this designer is really paying attention to details, and I know that that will carry into their work throughout the day. So things like pixelized pictures, I saw a few of those, and some things that are like really, really, really big, like really, really big, really images. Some of those like details can actually really make a difference, because the design of your portfolio is a big deal as well. Those are just some nitpicks that I saw in there. And then coming into the research, I was very impressed by the research pieces. I don't think we did a lot of this in when I was there, except for my like thesis that I did with Grayson. But the research pieces I saw, the card sorting, the on-site research, plus the competitive audits, the user questions, and the results from there were really impressive to me. I really enjoyed seeing those, and I was really looking for not only seeing them, but also seeing the results from them. Like, what did you take out from those learnings? When you asked a bunch of people questions from the users, I love seeing all of your graphs of how many people were surveyed, but also seeing the synthesis of it. What made your design really interesting, or what of that user feedback made you design something differently? And being able to show that quickly in your portfolio is really helpful, not just like an explanation and like forcing me to look at the top and look at the bottom and connect those dots, but being able to understand that you did that work, but then you took that synthesis and then applied it to your designs. So really, I think I will go ahead, and I think that's most of my pieces. Was the person that really had a great variety in their portfolio, in that and when I say variety, they had only a few projects, but they were a variety in that it kind of felt B2B, it kind of business, it kind of felt like it was also maybe consumer and more conceptual, but then also touching multiple devices like app and wearables. This person also really organized their artifacts really well, took the time to organize their sticky wall and pull out the pieces that I as a viewer should pay attention to. So this is the piece that I really took and then was going to design for. This person also took the time to write out all of the whys of why they designed everything. So when I saw the beautiful artifacts, I was able to get a quick view, like when I'm running down it, I was able to get a quick view of like, yeah, this is a good design. But then if I want, the next time I looked at it, I was able to go and read more about the whys, the research, the deep dive into what made this come alive and the reality of it. So I felt the person that did this the best and exemplified a great design research portfolio is Kiera. I really loved your portfolio, and though you only have a few in there, I felt that you really exemplified a great design research portfolio, and I'm really excited to see what you can do next.
Kiera, I'm going to pin you. All right, you're on.
Oh, wow, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Research is always the thing that drives me the most. I don't know, it's definitely my favorite part. I know I want to pursue UX with heavy research or even design research itself. So getting this award definitely means so much to me. Thank you so much.
Yay. Our next judge, Alan, can you give me a wave? There you are. So presenting the Best Art Direction Award is Alan LaFuente. Alan is a senior art director at Wunderland in Austin. He's a 2005 Condes alum and has worked for companies such as Indeed, T3, and Facebook. He's been asked to select the portfolio that best represents excellence in art direction in extended integrated campaigns. The award is a one-year Adobe Creative license plus $369 cash, which is a $1,005 value. So Alan, take it away.
All right. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay, I'm not sure like my mic was working. So first of all, I was gonna say, I was just like, I think echo what everyone else has said, is that I was just blown away by like all the portfolios. There was a lot of awesome stuff in there, and it made my job really difficult to choose my favorite. There were definitely a lot of favorites in there and just a lot of excellent work. So bravo to everybody. And I even peeked in, the not art direction stuff, and it was great. And it's also really impressive to see just the program, how it's evolved and how it's like keeping up with things that I wasn't, I wasn't privy to back in my day. So that was really exciting and really cool to see everybody's work. So yeah, it was really awesome. And thank you, Holly, for letting me participate. So I forget what else I was going to say. I think what Texas State does a really great job of is just kind of that focus on design and super design forward in even in the art direction pieces. And that really shows like through all this work. So that, I mean, again, that made it so difficult for me to choose. But I think overall what I was looking for like in art direction is kind of how you put those pieces together in like real life and things that kind of reflect that real life practices of like how, you know, yeah, in an outdoor board, like you only have a limited time, a limited amount of space, and how you kind of get your message across in whether it's like an Instagram story, how do you like catch somebody's attention and keep their attention, like and so those were kind of the things that I was looking for. And I think the person that I chose did like the best job of that. And I guess, what else I wanted to talk about? I'm also sorry for jumping off so late. I read that email wrong. I was gonna say, just, what I was gonna say is there's a lot of great like group projects, and where I found it difficult in judging, and I think I came across this in when I was on the job hunt, is like it's a little tricky to see who did what, because we see like these across several portfolios, and when you see them all here together, it's a little more obvious. And I feel like sometimes that could happen, whether because you're all going to be looking for jobs at the same time. So that's one area that I still don't really know like the greatest answer for that. But if there was a way to kind of highlight or just talk a little more about like, this is what I did on this project, or this is kind of my focus in it. And the way I kind of, because one of the person that I chose had one of those group projects, and the way I kind of looked at it was just kind of looking at other pieces. I could put it together, and I could see a sense of just the taste level and a sense of design that kind of matched those other pieces. So I was like, okay, I can kind of see how much this person was involved. But if there was a better way to do that, and I don't really have, like I said, I don't have a great answer for it, but that's one thing also I found tricky when going through all of these, because it was like, oh, this is like really cool, but it's in this person's and then in this one. So without further ado, I'll just say who I picked. So I picked Gabe, and in particular, I guess I was going to show, is there a way, is it okay if I share my screen to share that?
Of course.
All right, so I'll make this full screen. Is that showing this PowerPoint?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, cool. So I thought this piece was really something special. I loved the use of typography, and it was just really bold and attention getting, and that really like kind of stood out to me. And then when I was speaking to kind of knowing your format and how to, catch people's attention that's one of the like just the trickiest things in art direction, is just like how do you get people's attention in certain formats. And when I spoke to that, I think this outdoor board just did like a really great job. There's a lot of space in there, and it's just very stark and bold and attention getting. And I also love the Instagram kind of the Sasquatch stuff here, where we had the quiz, and the like meme review. I mean, that it just looks like fun and something that I would kind of want to stop and look at for a while. And then just kind of seeing again like that sense of layout and just how things, you know, fit together on a page, like the color grading on that photo just goes really well with the, you know, the photography and the type and everything on the left. A funny story on this, Austin Film Festival was actually one of our clients at Wunderland, and I was actually just working on a project for them. And I was like, oh, some of the stuff that we're showing is better than what you guys or some of the stuff I saw in this portfolio is like miles better than like what they're doing. So we might be reaching out to you for for some stuff. But yeah, I thought this work was great. Again, it's beautifully designed. I love the illustration here, and just really tasteful and nice print ad. And then the other one, this was another one that I saw in several of you guys were in the same group, but I love this Poder stuff, and just the layout is just, again, very impactful and attention getting.
You're on.
I want to say thank you. I also want to thank everybody that, all the judges that took the time to look through the portfolios. I really appreciate it, and I'm sure we all do. Holly, thank you for doing this as well. It's been awesome working with my fellow classmates. And like you kind of pointed out, a lot of it is hard to gauge whether I did all of it or, you know, we did it as a group. And I want to thank, you know, my fellow classmates, with Poder. We worked on that. We made a team kind of like at the beginning of the year, and we kind of, you know, wanted to work on a project together, and it was me, Jen, and Neff. And I really appreciate you guys and, you know, the design work that we did together and the research, as well as Rudy with Dr. Squatch, you know, just grinding it out, you know, and I appreciate, the recognition. Thank you.
Thank you, Gabe. Here you go. All right. So Becky Haas, give me a wave. There's Becky. All right. Okay, so our next judge is Becky Haas, who is joining us from Santa Fe. Becky is a 1996 Condes alum and is currently an art director, senior designer for Arcade Ventures. In previous lives, Becky has had her own designer handbag company called Ransom Scout, and I still covet those, and I still look for them on Poshmark, like the coolest stuff ever. Her designs had typography in them. They were just spectacular. She's also worked for herself, for VWK, for Brad Lawton, and Becky also taught as an adjunct professor for us for a couple of years. So Becky is awarding the Best Typographic Design Award and has been asked to choose the best student portfolio or project that represents excellence in typographic design where typography contributes to the design concept. This award is a cash award for $1,005. All right, it's all yours.
All right, well, congratulations all of you. Your work is beautiful. I was so impressed when I looked through all of these portfolios. I mean, they look better than many professional portfolios that we see. And at my job, my current job at Arcade Venture, we're based in Albuquerque, and I'm fortunate enough to live in Santa Fe, and I normally commute in the olden days, but I've been working from home like everyone else for the last 9 or 10 months. And but we're a very, very tiny firm. We only have 8 people, and so we all, you know, I do art direction, design. Sometimes I do copywriting. Sometimes I take out the trash. Sometimes I'm the psychologist. So sometimes I'm the cook. So anyway, we all do. You know, we all share a lot of the responsibilities, and it's actually a really nice, tight team. And so when we're hiring, and we like to hire recent graduates. That's something that we really, really like to do. We like to have younger people in our office and on our teams. And so one of the things that I look for, besides, I mean, I think the most important thing is the chemistry that you have with the people that you're meeting with. So I would tell you, when you are interviewing for jobs, and I think that all of you will find great places to land, but you gotta feel like, these are my people. I think that's a very, very important thing for you to feel, in addition for the people that are hiring you to feel. But just in terms of typography, what I look for in a portfolio is range. And I've seen portfolios come in where people it's all retro, or it's all Western, or it's all too much of this or too much of that. So looking at typography from a standpoint of that is very, very important. And one of the things that I've seen, the strengths that I've seen from you all, is that you're doing a good job of that generally. Some, I think, are getting a little bit too retro. And so that, just from my evaluation standpoint, that doesn't really appeal to me. It doesn't really work on the kinds of work that we do. But you never know. And then you could get a project that's suitable for. But you need to be able to show a range. I see a lot of sans serifs. Everybody's using sans serifs, which is great. And recently I've started using serif faces. And if you'd have told me a couple of years ago that I'd be using serif faces, I would have gone like, oh no. I've actually gotten into it now. So we kind of go back and forth on those kinds of things. So I would encourage you to experiment more with serif faces and with slab serif faces. So I didn't see a lot of those. So those are some things that I would encourage you to use. And one of the things that's happening now is that typography, I mean, when I graduated from Southwest Texas State University with a degree in commercial art, it was all print-based. And so, there's so many, wonderful things that are happening now in our industry. It's like anything that you can dream up, you can do. And it's just very, very exciting. And typography, plays a huge role in that. And so, so we have to consider what's going to look good in a print project versus what's going to look good in a digital project, whether it's a website or an app or an animation or a film or a movie. So, really the sky is the limit on that. And typography really is, it's like the soundtrack to your design. It's got the high notes and the low notes, and it's got the contrast and the volume, whether it's high or low. And it directs the eye and makes people want to read what the copy or all the type that you're setting. And so contrast is very, very important. Make sure that you use a variety of type in your work. Don't get hung up on your favorite font because you just love it and you know how it behaves and works so well in everything that you're doing. Use variety. I used to work for a guy who picked this typeface called Americana for every project he did. And finally we were like, you can't use that anymore. So anyway, don't get hung up on one thing. Find a range, find new things to do, always be exploring. And the other really great thing about our work is that it's a visual diary of our careers. And I would encourage you to try to keep one piece from your portfolio in your portfolio your whole career. I've tried to do that, and I have one logo that I keep in there always. So it's like a complete journey. I had a hard time deciding on which project or portfolio I was going to award this to. There are a lot of really great projects in here, and the one that I chose was chosen because it was very well finessed. The typefaces that were selected were appropriate and really communicated the personality of the brands. And I felt that the designer was capable of continuing on this design journey that you're just starting on and never ends. And even though I'm a lot older than a lot of you, I still feel like I'm 27 years old. And it's like, I still get all excited about every project. So I hope that you all will feel that way too. So, and I also think that the person that I chose found something to love about every project in the portfolio. And that's another really important thing, to always find something to love about everything and approach it as something that you will put into your portfolio. And if you really love your projects, it shows. It comes through. And as a hiring manager, I would look at your portfolio and say, well, this person really loves what they did on all of these things, and I can really tell that. So, well-considered type choices, good combinations, conveying the personality of the brand, showing range, and finessing the type. Come back and look at it the next day before you declare that it's finished. So anyway, without further ado, I'm going to name my winner, and it is Kiera Watterson. Very nice work. And I'm going to try to share my screen so that I can talk a little bit about what she has done. So I'm going to I'm just going to show the website. So I'm going to share, and hopefully you guys won't see all the other junk that's on my screen. Right, here we go. All right. This project in particular, can you see it? Can you guys see? Okay.
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. This particular project for Hemlock, I thought that the simplicity of the typography, and that she incorporated typography into the brand mark, is just beautiful. And just from looking at this, I can tell what kind of company this is. And I thought that the motion graphics were beautiful and simple. And it is hard to do simple. It's like really easy to muck things up. So I thought that the website was lovely. I thought that all of the out of home, simple, beautiful, and it appeals to a certain audience that will see this and say, oh, that's for me. Beautiful out of home. The catalog, simple. The typography is simple, and it allows the product images to be the heroes, but it also functions as a graphic element, which is really important, and people tend to forget that. So I thought this was just an absolutely beautiful project, and I loved this stationery kit. If I could convince a client to do this letterhead, I would be like doing backflips. So I will keep my fingers crossed, Kiera, that you can get somebody to do that, because it's beautiful. Beautiful website, retail tags. So I thought that was a lovely, lovely project. And a couple other things that I just wanted to point out. I thought this was really, this brand package. I mean, this looks like something that this looks like professionally done that you would see in a store. Packaging, the typography are all great. And this one I found really intriguing. And I loved how the type was hand-drawn and looks like junk. So very nice work. Very nice work overall. All of your projects were beautiful. In general, one thing I would just tell everybody, and I'm going to unshare now. Never be afraid when you are in your first job. Never be afraid to say what you have an idea about, because you think that people will think it's a dumb idea. Some of my dumbest ideas have been my best ideas ever. And nobody is going to say, oh, that's a dumb idea. Nobody will do that. And believe me, I mean, I'm 50-something years old. People, I still feel that way, but I still like blurt it out. And sometimes it's a good idea, and sometimes it doesn't fly, but that's okay. And we all have skeletons in our closets. You don't have to put them all in your portfolio. And watch out for the typos. I saw a couple of typos in a couple of portfolios. So definitely proofread your work and have someone else proofread it for you. So anyway, wonderful work, you guys. I am just honored to have been able to be a judge and to see all your work, and wishing you all the best.
Kiera, would you like to say something?
I'm speechless. I'm shaking right now. Thank you guys so much. Especially thank you to Hanaro and Dimitri that like really helped me out this semester to get my portfolio together. Yeah.
That's awesome.
So much.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Beautiful work.
Thanks.
Okay. And our last judge, Emily Glenn. And give me a wave, Emily. Okay. So our final judge is Emily Glenn. She's in Austin, Texas. She is a 2016 Comdesk graduate and is a marketing consultant for Deloitte Digital. She's also worked as a product designer for USAA, Spreadfast, as a design consultant for Design for Use. Emily is awarding the Best Design for Social Impact, and the award goes to the portfolio or project that uses design to establish a socially engaged business, nonprofit, or inspire a movement. The award is a cash award for $1,005. And Emily, it's all yours.
Thank you, Holly. Hi, everyone. How are we doing? I would love to just take a minute at first to just kind of stretch. I know it's been a long hour and almost a half. So if you need to move around, please do. I know, it feels so good. So yes, just to give you a little bit of background, I graduated in 2016. I am currently at Deloitte, the accounting firm, and I started about 3 months ago, and it is actually my first experience technically experience in consulting, and I've been internal product design for the last 4 years. And it has been quite a transition, and I'll get into that a little bit, but I am going to be talking about human-centered design in relation to social impact. So how many people can say that they feel very confident in what designing for social impact means? If you could raise your hand, if you feel extremely confident in that. Whenever I was in school in 2016, I definitely raised my hand, but I really had absolutely no idea what that meant, because designing for social impact feels extremely lofty. And what I want to talk about is designing for social impact is not conceptual. It's not something that just sounds good and it sounds like it's going to revolutionize the world. Designing for social impact is based on humans' needs, what people actually need and what they want. And designing for social impact means that there is an extreme return on investment. This is not a business investment in terms of just gaining capital. It is, the return on investment is changing people's lives. And so the way that you do this is by researching and understanding from the get-go and throughout the process of delivering a product or service that what you are creating is going to be effective, it's going to be usable, it is going to actually be consumed, be adopted, and be integrated into people's lives. Prior to Deloitte, I was at USAA teaching human-centered design, and so it is very near and dear to my heart. Absolutely love that job. And just some of the key takeaways from that experience, that I had a couple of mentors and they really just changed my life, is one, have an opinion. I think something that I've seen in the last 5 years of my career is there are a lot of people in the corporate world that don't have an opinion. And having an opinion is good as long as you have a reasoning, you have research, you have something to base your decision off of. Define the name. John spoke a little bit about this, working with developers and having constraints and working within business or technical constraints. You'll find as you get into the professional environment, there is a timeline and decisions have to be made. And so getting to the point in your portfolios as soon as possible is great. Second thing I want to highlight is really identify your strengths and weaknesses. Something that Deloitte is really big on is business chemistry. Everyone is made with very unique skill sets. There are things that you are great at and there are things that you're not great at, and that is okay, and really use that to your advantage. Something that's kind of weird to me at Deloitte is that you kind of interview for your projects, and so if someone's looking for someone who's been in state and local government doing infrastructure design and you don't have that, you can say no and you can look for something more content related. So with that, I am going to share my screen, and I want to talk a little bit about, let's see my little, I don't know if you guys can see the little Zoom interface there, but I want to talk a little bit about social impact. So like I mentioned, I worked at USAA in human-centered design, and IDEO is a company who really established the human-centered design practice and really evangelized it about 100 years ago. And so I was listening to a podcast that one of the co-founders talked about, and what they did is they found that in Nairobi, these displaced Syrian women didn't understand how to talk about puberty. And what IDEO does is human-centered design for social impact. And so what they did, this is a great example, they actually talked to these women and children in order to understand what they needed. And what they found is that the best way to teach these young girls about puberty was not through their mothers. They had to pivot and iterate on their design concepts and developing these programs. They actually found that the people that would actually teach them best were going to be their older sisters. And the one thing I want to call out here is that in the pilot program, 93.7% of girls reported increased knowledge and confidence around managing puberty. And these statistics are the thing that show return on investment. We can see that this made an impact in a target group of people. So I want to go through a couple pieces of work that really stood out to me. The first one, I'll go through these pretty quickly. The first one is the Inverse Project. And I think there are a couple different people who worked on this, but this really stood out to me because it is so provocative. I think with the politics going on right now, and it is a very relevant topic, and it's something that actually made me stop and think and evaluate these concepts, and actually just really stuck out to me as something that I really needed to think more about, the racial injustice and things that were going on. It was extremely relevant. I think it's a great concept. The second project I want to talk about briefly is Daphne's work with repurposing fashion and getting into the sustainable fashion industry. And I think it's just a great take on what business design looks like. I think you have a lot of potential in that area. Naftali, I hope I'm saying your name right. I'm sorry if I'm not. I think this piece of work, I believe Emily mentioned this earlier, the Munich Space Expo is just absolutely beautifully designed. The composition is great. The visual interest, it's just absolutely beautiful. The person that I chose for social impact is Jack Parker. And I will go through some things that I really loved about Jack's design and why I think he really has the potential of creating a lot of impact in the nonprofit space. This is primarily because of the data and research that he did up front. Whenever you really understand your target market and you know who you're designing for and the things that they need, you can ultimately design and deliver something to a group of people, and you know that it's going to be adopted and integrated into their life. I think something that was hard for me as a student was really getting in front of people and getting to talk to them and listening to what they actually needed. But I think overall in these portfolios, I've seen a huge improvement in the design research and just really being able to listen to people and identify things they needed and then group them into themes and start synthesizing, creating insights, creating concepts, testing, iterating. So way to go, Jack. I think you have a lot of potential in the design research space, product development, and congratulations to everyone.
Thank you, Emily. And Jack, I'm gonna pin your video.
Yeah, I'll just echo what everybody else said. Thanks to all the judges for looking over our work. Really appreciate it. And especially thanks to all our professors. Yeah, you guys, I think, really sort of made this for us. And I can't really imagine going to a different design school. So I just want to say thank you, especially to all you guys, and for putting this together and really getting us ready to present our work. So I think, yeah, I just want to say I really appreciate you guys. And of course, all my classmates. So thanks.
We're waving here. Okay, so we're going to start to wrap this up a bit. I have a little bit more news for you. Yesterday, an alumni very generously contributed an additional $600, and he asked that, or she, asked that it be equally distributed among the 6 awards. So everyone that won tonight will be adding an extra $100 to each award. When you DM me tomorrow, I will tell you how to collect that. So this brings everyone's total up to $1,105 each, which is pretty awesome. So I'm really excited about that, especially in a time of COVID. We did not do as much fundraising as we usually do, so it's really happy. I'm going to give you guys a chance to make a little bit of noise in just a minute. But as we get through this, please wave to show we're applauding. Congratulations, ComDes graduates. You guys made it, and we're ridiculously proud of you, and we want to keep up with your success through your career. We want you guys to stay in touch. I want to thank all of our wonderful 6 judges who took time away from their schedules to review all the work. We really appreciate you and your expertise. So thank you, judges. That's awesome. Also, thank you so much to our talented communication design faculty for all that you do and for your success in teaching our students during these incredibly challenging times. So thank you to all the faculty and the administrators. I don't have any, besides Michael Niblett, none of our sponsors are here, but I would like to name our sponsors. Thank you to our sponsors, UBO, Adobe, Wacom. Michael, thank you so much for your support. We really appreciate it. Mr. Ortiz, Radio Coffee, all of that, you know, really helped us turn this into something special, and we appreciate it so much. And before we turn on everyone's audio for a final send-off, is there anyone who would like to say anything? Anyone like to speak besides me?
Holly, I'm just going to interrupt you for 1 second.
Yes.
And thanks for all the acknowledgments, and I absolutely second those. But just a huge thank you to you for organizing this event and making this such a success and really caring about the students. And you're an incredibly inspiring colleague and instructor. So thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. Don't make me cry. Thank you. I appreciate that. All right, so let's see.
Yes, thank you, Holly.
Oh, thank you, Michael. I appreciate it.
Good job. Really good job.
Thank you so much. So graduates, even though your review is on Zoom, it does not take anything away from your accomplishments. And every single one of you has earned a BFA in communication design, and that is no small accomplishment. And I hope there's time in the not too distant future when we can celebrate in person. But for now, turn your audio on and let's give a big round of applause. And everyone, please stay afterwards for some screenshots. So turn your audio on and party's on. So yay.
Did it.
Congrats, everybody.
Congrats, everybody.
Congratulations, everybody.
Congratulations, you guys.